Thank you for checking out this special presentation of Lone Star Internet Radio's podcast. Lone Star Internet Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station. This podcast is a recording of the 2016 Montgomery County Primary Candidate Forum, broadcasted live from the Crichton Theater in downtown Conroe. This following podcast covers the candidates for sheriff. Before we get to the candidate presentation, please take a moment and hear a word from a title sponsor of Lone Star Internet Radio, the Spirit of Texas Bank.
Spirit of Texas Bank. More than a name, it's a way of doing business rooted in all that makes Texas great. Take lending. At most banks, you feel processed, shuffled around, asked to jump through ever higher hoops. It's not fun. We understand. That's why Spirit of Texas Bank is different. We start by listening to what you need, then finding the best and fastest way to get you help, person to person. Helps, too, that decisions are made locally. Loans tailored to your needs and your finances. You'll quickly realize your opinion counts. Your word matters, and the bank is here to serve you, not the other way around. We've been told over and over again how great the Spirit of Texas banking experience is. We trust you'll feel the same way. Spirit of Texas Bank, all across Texas and now in Conroe, Magnolia, the Woodlands, and Tomball. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Okay, ready to go. Opening statement, 1 minute. Mr. Henderson, we will start with you.
Good evening. I'm Rand Henderson. I'm your Republican candidate for Montgomery County Sheriff. I've been with the Sheriff's Office since I graduated college in 1994 from Sam Houston. Right after that, I went to the Police Academy and came to work for the Sheriff's Office as a entry-level Woodlands Patrol Deputy. I've served the Sheriff's Office for 21 years. I have worked my way up the ranks. I started at the lowest levels and was asked to take more leadership positions, and I've continued to do that over the years. And now I'm at the rank of captain. So I serve you as the patrol captain, I've served you as the jail captain, and I'm looking forward to serving you as sheriff because I put in the preparation and I'm ready to take on the job on day one.
Thank you. Mr. Napolitano.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming out. My name is Jim Napolitano, and I'm your candidate for sheriff. I would like to say that I've spent 30 years preparing to get back here to Montgomery County, where I started my law enforcement career, and become your candidate for sheriff. I started here as a reserve deputy back in 1983, stayed as a reserve until I was lucky enough in 1986 to be selected as a candidate for Special Agent United States Secret Service, where I served in the Houston Field Office, the former Bush Detail, Presidential Protective Division, Training Division, the Crawford Ranch, and then back here in the Houston Field Office. In that time, and then after that, as a security representative for a large major oil company, and then back now as the Chief of Police for the City of Montgomery. I feel that I have the experience and the knowledge that will help you get Montgomery County into the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Napolitano. First question is to you. Stay with me here. The new open carry laws may not allow the county to keep people from openly carrying their guns in buildings that house courts and other offices. The county will only be able to prohibit the carrying of weapons into the actual courtroom. What is your plan to secure Montgomery County buildings and employees in the event that people may openly carry firearms into any county building, regardless of whether there is a court in that building? Do you see any potential problems from the new law in this regard?
Yes, I don't think that that it's going to be difficult to do. And as a Secret Service agent, protecting many sites and setting up many security locations around the world, the advent of good access control, understanding where and how the law applies to each building and to each courtroom will be paramount to understanding how we will get our citizens to come in and out of our buildings and allow them their freedom of the Second Amendment to carry their firearms in the buildings. Now, it becomes a difficult process as a police officer of the state of Texas to understand who's carrying the weapon and who isn't and why they're in that building carrying their firearm, but the Second Amendment and our state legislature has allowed it. So we will set up access control in the buildings. We will allow these people to come in. They're already vetted. They're concealed handgun license holders or license to carry holders for the state of Texas. So there will be a process. It'll have to be analyzed.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson?
I don't foresee it being a problem. We're prepared to deal with this situation. We're looking to move the metal detectors around in the courthouse. There are multi-purpose buildings. I would look to Commissioner's Court to try to do a master plan to consolidate some of the courts, move around some of the courts from buildings that are multi-purpose. That's a little bit of long-range planning, but that would certainly help with our security checkpoints. We're looking at the good guys. The ones that are carrying the permits are the ones that have been vetted. We look to them on patrol. When we stop a car, somebody that's got a concealed carry permit, we look at them as one of the good guys, and if they don't have their gun with them, we're disappointed because we look for them to have our back when it's necessary. So it's going to be the same in the county buildings. The county has allowed employees to conceal carry weapons, and I know that's part of the debate right now that they're looking at is to open carry, and I will just look to them for guidance as to how we'll handle it. But as far as open carry, I don't foresee it being a problem. We'll do what it takes to keep it out of the courtroom because that's what the law dictates. And carrying within county buildings, it's always a law enforcement challenge. Everything we do has challenge to it. However, that's what we do. We deal with adversity, and we'll deal with this one as well.
Thank you. Follow-up question to that. Do you anticipate a higher volume of calls regarding public safety from the citizens of Montgomery County considering the new open carry law? And if so, how do you plan on allocating resources to handle those calls?
Initially, we're going to have more calls for service just because it's something new, something different, and people are going to get scared at certain aspects of, for example, if somebody walked into Tinseltown or walked up to the premises of Tinseltown open carrying. With the history of gun violence that we've had at theaters, that could generate calls for service. We're training our personnel. We've taken a lead on that as director of the Regional Training Academy. I've worked with my training coordinator and staff, and we've developed a program. We're looking to train all of our county employees. We've already done several different assessments for active shooters. So we're looking to build upon that and just ensure that our employees, our deputies, know how to handle that situation as they confront it. It's multifaceted. It involves cooperation with the attorneys as to how we're going to enforce that law. And we're prepared. We'll educate our personnel, and we'll handle it on day one.
Thank you. Mr. Napolitano?
Same question?
Yes.
This is going to be an interesting time on calls for service at the Montgomery Police Department. We have seen an influx just now of more calls for service. But when it comes to and regarding the open carry law, we feel that, for the very first few months, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be an issue we'll have to address. But training of just our officers is not the only thing. And we have had Texas Law Shield come out, and we did a class for our officers to get them to understand what the law is and what our restrictions are on how to deal with the people. But also, we need to educate our public, and even our concealed handgun carry citizens of the state of Texas. They do it once, and then they don't get any more education. So, for instance, I'm putting on a town hall meeting this coming December 30th at our city of Montgomery. We're going to ask the citizens to attend the town hall meeting where I can hear their concerns, and we can address the concerns of not only the citizens that are carrying, the ones that aren't, and also the ones of law enforcement. So that's what we're planning to do.
Thank you. Mr. Napolitano, the next question, you'll start. What is your view on the new tow rotation bill passed for Montgomery County, and how would you implement the rotation?
I'm sorry, the tow rotation.
The tow rotation, yes, sir.
That's kind of funny. When I was reserve deputying back in the 80s, we had that rotation here. And then when I left to go to Washington for a little while, it was gone. When I got back, I'm kind of not understanding how it disappeared in the first place. But the tow rotation worked very well back when I was here. And we used to have it set up at the dispatch office where each record driver company had their tow rotations, much like you see it at a FAA center where they're moving airplanes around the sky, and it's the same way. It's just stacking them up, moving them to the next call. But the problem with the tow rotation is it's going to have to be district-wide. So the District 2 records are going to have to be down there, District 1, District 5. So the dispatchers are going to have a very difficult time keeping up with that, along with all the other things that they have to work on every day. So I hope it works out and it becomes a good plan.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson?
We've always used tow rotation always used chipping, which is the method we use now. That's why you see the wreckers stack up on scenes. So the way the process works is it's aired over the radio, and numerous wreckers rush to the scene to be there as one of the first ones that's allowed to pull a chip out of a hat. So after review of that, it was determined that that was going to be a dangerous practice, but we didn't have the legislation behind us to be able to change to a rotation system. So Sheriff Gage looked to Representative Will Metcalf, and he got that legislation passed in his freshman term. And we've developed a policy in conjunction with the county attorney's office that's a countywide tow rotation bill, or tow rotation policy. So we hope to use that to reduce the amount of wreckers that are on the scene, because oftentimes it's not the small wreck that causes the problems on the side of the road. It's all the wreckers that are stacked up that are creating the traffic hazard. If you've got 15 or 20 on scene with a minor accident, that's the problem. So we're looking to work with that and get the best policy in place, and hopefully implement that in the spring of this year.
Thank you. Next question, Mr. Henderson, you'll start. Considering the sale of the Joe Corley Detention Center, what should the county fund to meet the jail population needs? And in the meantime, what can the sheriff's office do to alleviate some of the overcrowding, if you believe that is an issue at the jail?
Yeah, overcrowding is an issue. Our population is not at overcrowded levels right now, but we need to look to the future, look to do some strategic planning as to how we're going to do this in the future. It's not on the sheriff's office to necessarily deal with the overcrowding, because if the officers arrest them, we're going to take them. We don't want to turn away prisoners. If the court sentence them to our jail, we want to take them, we want to jail them. We're not looking to release offenders on the streets. We're looking to put them in jail to keep you safe. So as far as moving forward as to how we're going to deal with the overcrowding, we've got some contracts that's a stopgap measure with outside counties to take care of our prisoners so we don't violate jail standards. However, moving forward, it's going to be a statistical analysis and data analysis between the courts, between the jail, between experts in the field, to determine what the best methodology would be, whether we would expand in place, build a new jail, whatever the case would be. I'm an advocate for expanding in place. We've got some unused space, such as the admin offices, that could be used for jail space as well. So there are options, and we're exploring them and trying to get those in place as quickly as we can.
Thank you. Mr. Napolitano?
Well, the question might be, how did we get to this place in the first place? How did the jail get to the situation we're in right now? And I think the lack of strategic planning is one of those things that we haven't continued to look forward to understand that it's catching up with us. The population of this county is catching up with us as far as the law enforcement agency, and to plan ahead, to look for the future. I've done that at the city of Montgomery. We're looking constantly for the future, where the building is coming. So, when we increase more and more citizens, we get more calls for service. More calls for service, the more people we're going to put in the jail, because they're going to need to be going there. So if they're going to break the law, we're going to put them in jail. We don't want to let them out. So the problem of overcrowding is having a correct facility for us to house the prisoners that we are arresting. So proper planning, looking at the facility that we have now, making an engineering study analysis of why is it falling apart, what are the issues that we need to take on right now, and then where do we take it in the future, 2, 5, 10, and 20 years down the road.
Thank you. Mr. Napolitano, next question is for you to start. Time is of the essence regarding public safety. What are your plans to ensure the public is notified of public safety matters in a timely manner? Will you be available to the media, and how will your office handle matters involving the media?
Currently, as chief of police, I'm available to the media all the time. They call, they ask questions. I also have a current PIO officer that takes care of if I'm not there to handle the questions. I feel that the media is an important process of us having transparency with our citizens of our county and our state. Proper use of the media, and what I mean by that is a relationship with them, for them to understand that we're going to pass to them the information we need to get out to the public on a quick and timely manner. The use of social media will also be a good way to get our information out in a quick and timely manner. I feel that should be the PIO's job to have a staff that handles the social media and also the current media as we know it now.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson?
Well, Andy, as you know, I was the first PIO for the Sheriff's Office in 2002, which is something I'm pretty proud of. So I've had a lot of media relations training and done the correspondence as well. So I'm familiar with what it takes to have an effective PIO operation. Social media is something that we don't exploit like we should. We don't get the message out like we should, and I would like to see that office expanded. During this budget process, we are looking to try to increase that office and try to make it a one-stop shop that's fully encompassing all the needs of a public information office. So there are technologies available other than social media. We use some in emergency management and do pretty well getting the notice out there. And we would continue to do that and liaison with the media. As far as meeting personally with the media, to answer that part of the question, I would rely on the Public Information Office, and only on extreme events where it would be necessary for the CEO of the law enforcement agency to speak with the media, would I do so. It wouldn't be on a daily basis, but yes, there would be good interaction with the PIO office.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson, you'll start. This will be the last question before closing statements. What solutions do you have to address turnover within the Sheriff's Office, and what proposals do you have regarding funding and allocation of existing resources?
Turnover among the deputy and commissioned ranks is very low. We have a good retention rate for that. It's the civilian detention officer and some of the civilian positions that we have that we're having turnover issues. Our leadership team has already begun to address some of those things. We look to what made us successful in the commissioned ranks, and that was having a salary step structure. So it was a plan that would allow officers, deputies, to know where they were going to be in a few years. They knew they would have raises coming to them. It's a modern method of a salary structure used by many departments, including major metropolitan areas and the Department of Public Safety. So having those measures in place has better salary for the deputies. They know they're going to be getting those raises, and it increased our retention. So we're looking for starting with supervision also with civilian detention officers, something we've never had before, but something that was just recently improved. So hopefully if this works out well with a civilian detention officer supervisor, we can expand that, have more savings as well, because we would have a less paid supervisor versus having those commission positions, and that would just professionalize the organization in the jail.
Thank you. Mr. Napolitano?
Well, the way I look at it is, as the sheriff, as I am as the chief of police, my job is to work for the deputies and for all the employees of the sheriff's office, not them working for me, to go out there on a daily basis to make sure that we get the equipment and the education and the training they need to get their job done. We're looking to do that. That keeps officers and letting them know, and the deputies, that we have their back, that we're going to support them and get them to work, and they don't have to watch over their backs to the administration that's behind them. We're behind them all the way. I think that that's a great way to take on any type of retention problems, for them to know that we're there with them. So that'll be the first issue. Second issue would be understanding how many deputies do we really need on the street, what the current levels are, and is the current staffing levels correct. We'd have to make a study and understand if that's correct. So, it's hard to answer this in a 1-minute answer and a 1-minute sentence, but I think that for the deputies to understand that they know that we're behind them would be a large step in that direction.
Thank you. Mr. Napolitano, you have another minute for closing.
1 minute in closing. I got to tell you that I think I'm the person with the correct credentials, not only on a level that we think of, we're seeing in the news on a daily basis, which is the threat from ISIS. I have the experience with other agencies internationally to understand that these people are here. The threat to the United States is a definite threat. I have that anti-terrorism background along with local law enforcement. I understand how to deal with it. As a Secret Service agent, I spent my time across the nation and across the world dealing with the local law enforcement, understanding what their needs are so that we could get the job done. Not just to protect the president, but to protect the people that were attending these rallies and these forums that these people go to. You have to understand that these kind of things are what we're talking about in the future. Where is our future of the Sheriff's Department? We're going to lead a strategic thinking Sheriff's Department into the future and get the job done.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson?
I've been right here the whole time. For 21 years, I've lived, worked, worshiped, socialized, and been part of the Sheriff's Office protecting you. I plan to continue that as your sheriff. I prepared myself. I went back to college and got my master's degree. I've had a lifelong commitment to the criminal justice field. I'm an educator, I'm a practitioner, and most importantly, I'm a criminal justice leader. No matter what position I was ever given, I was always looked to be the leader in that position. And I've prepared myself, and I'm ready to take that next step. I can start on the first day. I know how the department runs. I know where the issues are, but I'm going to do things differently. I'm a community policing specialist. Community policing is near and dear to my heart, and it's a passion of mine. And it's something that I want to bring to the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office at all levels. It involves a complete philosophical shift, and I'm the leader that's going to step up and do that. I've been in criminal justice. I've been in local law enforcement. I know the Sheriff's Office. I've managed a budget. I know how to manage 788 employees and a jail, the largest liability, and I'm ready to be your sheriff.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you for listening to the special broadcast of the 2016 Montgomery County Primary Candidate Forum. This was an open invitation event to all candidates and was broadcasted live from the Crichton Theater. If you have any questions or comments for Lone Star Internet Radio, or you would like to sponsor Lone Star Internet Radio, please contact the station online at irlonestar.com or our Facebook page, Lone Star Internet Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station, broadcasting from the heart of Conroe, Texas. We would also like to thank the title sponsor of Lone Star Internet Radio, the Spirit of Texas Bank, Lone Star Internet Radio, and the Spirit of Texas Bank, serving the community of Montgomery County.